Attacking the MC-75 when you're in a TIE fighter or interceptor can be tricky. It's easy to shunt to engines to boost in to catch up with your teammates, only to find yourself low on energy when you arrive. Forced to shunt to weapons as you cover your teammates, or make a run on the shield generator, you find yourself low on energy and caught in the tractor beam. Without the energy to boost out, you try to take out the tractor beam with your lasers, only to be shot down. If only there is a way to quickly recharge your energy. Hello, I'm Fencar from Splinter Squadron, and I'm here to show you how to use the most powerful power shunting technique in the game, Shunt Charging. So what is Shunt Charging? Shunt Charging is a technique where you maximize weapon energy and then shunt to weapons, immediately beginning to recharge your weapon energy, even during a dead drift. By using this technique during my dead drifts out of the hangar, I'm able to reach the enemy team extremely quickly, maintain a high level of energy, and bait and kill an enemy A-wing by dead drifting, using my sensor jammer, shunting to weapons, and destroying him before he can react. I still have a large amount of boost energy, so I continue attacking the enemy team. Looking for more targets, I zero in on a distracted A-wing, drift behind them, and shoot them down. You'll notice I don't need any engine energy to take shots while using this technique. I didn't do a few dead drifts, and in case anybody's looking my way, and then zero in on this retreating Y-wing. In a few seconds you can see my ally Cheerful is ionized, but I'm able to drift in and clean up the kill. Suddenly I'm low on boost energy, and I have to retreat, but no problem. A dead drift and a quick shunt charge later, and I already have more than enough energy to safely retreat and power up for my next attack. How do you execute a shunt charge? Well, first we need to understand how shunting and energy regeneration work. So immediately after shunting to engines, your weapon energy goes on a cooldown where it doesn't regenerate at all. So, to get around this issue, we boost, start drift, and immediately shunt our power to weapons, which removes the cooldown on the weapon energy regeneration. We make sure that our weapon energy is maximized the entire time in order to maximize our momentum while dead drifting, and to maximize our weapon energy regeneration rate as we shunt to weapons. I'm showing this technique with a bit of a delay here between drifting and shunting, but really you're able to shunt as soon as you drift, as you'll see in a few moments here. One other advantage of this technique is that when you shoot, as your power is always maximized in weapons, you use less energy when shooting than you would if your power was in engines. And overall, this technique reduces the amount of management you have to do overall. You can see that I was able to fire for about 2.5 seconds there without having to worry about spending too much energy and not being able to shunt back to engines. You'll also see that during these long dead drifts, my engine energy is increasing over time, so that even though I'm shooting some and spending some weapon energy, I get down to about a quarter here. But when I shunt back, I have 3 whole bars of boost rather than just 1 or 2. And so even spending all that weapon energy, I'm perfectly good to continue using that technique. Here we're going to show you how to use this technique with a burst cannon TIE fighter against the MC-75 capital ship. This build is reinforced hull, microthrust engine, concussion missile, repair, and chaff. So, I'm boosting, keeping my power and weapons, shunting to engines as needed. I shunt to weapons, put my power and engines for a brief moment to counteract the momentum, shoot my stuff, and shunt to engines, boost out. Shunt to weapons again here. And you can see that after 2 runs of this, which were pretty quick, the shield generator is already at 50%. Now it's at 18%. I run out of energy here, but I'm able to shunt to engines and keep it going. Do a quick shunt charge, and boost back in, and that is a dead shield generator. That took 4 runs. It's possible to do it in about 3 with just a concussion missile. You can see again, I convert my power to engines for a brief moment, and here I'm actually caught in the tractor beam, but was able to shunt to weapons, do a shunt charge, and then shunt back to engines and boost out. And so I'm able to continue doing these loops. Very, very straightforward stuff. Anytime I need power, just do a shunt charge, shunt to weapons, and then go back to engines. Shunt to weapons, I have full weapon energy here. It's going a little bit slowly now, but you can see this movement pattern is not the easiest thing in the world to hit if you're a rebel trying to chase around this TIE fighter. Just the sheer amount of drifting you can do with the extremely high drift boost speed of the TIE fighter is extremely hard to catch. And from here, you can do all kinds of wacky stuff. Here we cut to the TIE interceptor, showing you some more gameplay with that PvP loadout. So I beam down another player here, and now I'm going to dead drift past the enemy U-wing. Now you'll notice in the first clip I actually stopped my dead drift. I just sat behind him behind the A-wing while I shot him. This time I kept the dead drift going, and this is an option you can do. Here I try to shoot that A-wing while I'm dead drifting. Doesn't work out this time. But sometimes when you dead drift past an enemy, it's harder to keep guns on target, but you stay more evasive. So it's a bit of a trade-off there. And you can see there's a lot of options. Like here, I do the dead drift right behind him, and I'm able to continue tracking and murder him. I was also using my sensor jammer during that, so that if there was someone that was going to tail me, they wouldn't be able to hit me with their standard lasers. They would have to use rockets or something, and I would have plenty of time to chaff, react, get out. Here I have this A-wing targeted. I'm shunting to weapons as I dead drift away. I find another one, and I actually go down here for the Nebulon, not the A-wing. Granted, there was plenty of time for me to shunt to engines and get out there regardless, if I chose to. Here you can see my loadout here. I'm using microthrust here because the interesting thing about this technique is that it's completely unnecessary to have any stats besides maneuverability, essentially. And in addition, the lower acceleration you have, the more you maintain momentum while you're doing these dead drifts. You're seeing my speed gauge is above 220 this whole time as I drift out. And even with my poor aim, I was able to land a couple of shots on that A-wing, just force him to stealth jam a little bit, and I can get it behind this X-wing. Easy shunt to weapons, not so easy to shoot apparently, as my poor objective ass is not able to land those shots this time. But broadly, you can still tell that this technique still gives me a lot of energy to play with as far as momentum, maintaining a really high level of energy, speed, and also the ability to continue shooting at almost any target at any time. I'm able to basically continuously chain drifts and dead drifts, and here, like I showed you before the TIE Fighter, I didn't actually have any overcharged weapon energy there, but my engines passively regenerate a little bit over time, so when I shunted back to engines, I was able to get a little bit of extra boost energy there. Here I missed some more shots, which oddly enough I still top frag in this game. Fragged more than Nubble or Brandon and their interceptors or defenders. Despite my relatively poor play. Granted, this was a bit of a stomp game. Still. Here I'm almost out of energy again, so I do just a couple of quick drifts, shunt to weapons. I decided to go all the way back to repair here just because I'm out of chaff. Both my abilities are on cooldown. Don't really feel like trying to die here. And now here we cut to the bomber. So with the bomber, for the most part, it's pretty ineffective to use this technique. In practice mode, I'm only barely able to maintain energy using this. It's actually broadly, this is a standard laser, by the way. And with the standard laser, it's like, okay, like it just barely kind of works. But if you're using standard laser, you're kind of giving up rotary, so I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of using this technique with the standard laser. Especially since your energy regeneration is a lot worse. But it is possible, and I can see some pilots liking this a lot. Because you see I'm still able to maintain some amount of boost energy as I shunt back and forth. Granted, this is practice mode, and there are some issues with using this technique online. Still, it's fairly effective for just the occasional dead drift where you don't have anything else going on, and so you just shunt to weapons in order to do that damage. It's also just good to know how that affects, how shunting to weapons affects your regeneration overall, as it does impose the cooldown of energy regeneration on your engines. And so here I'm just showing how, like, if I do a lot of these kinds of drifts, I'm losing energy overall, and I'm not really able to maintain that kind of movement pattern for long periods of time. The way you are able to effectively infinitely boost around while doing these kinds of drifts in like a TIE interceptor. Just some more shooting again, T-75, hitting some weak points and stuff. Other side tidbit, multi-lock missiles actually do 675 damage against the hull of a starship, and they do the same amount of damage to the flagship even if they hit a turret. So if they kill the turret, that's another 400 damage to the flagship. Therefore, a multi-lock missile that hits and kills a turret on the flagship does 1075 damage. So 4 multi-lock missiles do about, oh, just round it out, say 4,300 damage is the cap. Here's the rotary. The rotary cannon is even worse for this. You see this energy regeneration is extremely, extremely slow. I'm essentially out of energy trying to do this technique just from power shunting back and forth. I'm actually losing more energy from the passive degeneration, passive decay of my engine energy than I am able to gain by doing this technique. It's just that slow. And here I'm just out of energy, and this technique just barely does anything. Even with the and just with perfect like practice mode tricks, like no lag on the shunting, etc. I'm only barely able to like maintain these drifts. It's much better to use jet engine and just use that to recharge your weapon energy. Do some boost gasping and shunting, boost gasping and boost skipping tricks instead. That's about it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Shout out to Scalp Waka's channel. Check out his channel for more tricks and stuff, etc. The next video will be about boost gasping, which is and boost skipping, which are some advanced tricks that you can do with your rebel ships. Have a good one, and I will see you next time.